Cow, $95,000. It's still a $75,000 truck. Hey, that underground color actually looks really good. What's the nonsense?
Welcome back, guys. In this video, I traveled to a town in Idaho with a population of about 50,000 people to see what inventory pricing and transparency in the car and truck market look like. And spoiler alert, I find something pretty controversial and honestly pretty concerning at the Toyota dealership.
And if you guys like what you're about to see, please consider liking this video. That helps me know that you want to see more stuff like this. So I'll travel to more towns, more dealerships, and I'll try to put together more than about one video a month like this. But that also lets YouTube know that you want to see more stuff like this, so you'll get more of that in your feed. Thank you guys. I'm starting this video out at a Ford dealership, and I actually have some really good news for you guys. This is a 2024 Bronco. It's brand new. It's in shelter green, which is actually a really nice color in person. And you know what the best part of it is? There's no markup. It's actually just going for MSRP. It's a little bit dark to see the Baroni sticker through the window, so I'll overlay that on the screen here. But a $93,000 Bronco is honestly still very expensive, still twice as much as the average new car, but at least there's not a $30,000 markup like I was seeing on these when they were first coming out about 2 years ago. But there's also a used example over there. Let me go over there and show you what it looks like. So you can either pay $93,000 for the brand new Shelter Green 2024 model, or this one. This is actually one of the first years. It's a 2022, and it apparently only has 4,000 miles. But better yet, I'm not seeing any markups. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of transparency on the window for what the pricing would be. And if there's anything on the back, it doesn't really tell you the pricing. It just tells you what their Ford sales phone number is, unfortunately. But on the website, I can see that it is transparent there. $86,000. So about a $7,000 decrease for 4,000 miles in 2 years. But what I find really interesting is this exact vehicle about a year and a half ago when I was in town once, I saw it marked up to about $130,000. So if these are 90K brand new, back about a year and a half ago, there were some Ford dealers that did mark theirs up $30,000 or $40,000, and for a used example, which is astonishing. But in today's market, I think, mid 80s for the Bronco Raptor, that's still pretty rich for my blood, but I think that is a fairly fair price. And here's an eruption green baby Bronco, or the Bronco Sport, which Ford actually has really nice green colors. And although this looks just like that 2022 Raptor, it honestly looks really nice in person. And there's no information, no identifying details on the front windshield, but 40 grand or 41 basically before, your extra taxes and add-ons. And there is unfortunately a $250 door edge guards, which I don't see anything on the side, and I don't really see anything there, so I'm assuming that just hasn't been installed yet. But it's not something you should have to pay for. That shouldn't just be added as if that's part of the window sticker. There's a couple trucks I really want to show you guys, and I think you're going to be happy to see. But compared to last time I was here about a month ago, there definitely is a little bit more transparency, and there's more deals, there's more printouts giving you information, and or you can just drive down the road and you can look at stuff. You don't have to get out, talk to people, call specific phone numbers, at least not on every single vehicle. 101 miles per gallon, maybe that would pay for itself eventually. But it also is really cool that interest rates seem like they're starting to drop. I'm seeing a lot more that are at 1.9 to 3.9% depending on the manufacturer. And here are some F-150s. Quickly, I want to show you what this Lightning goes for with its Maroni sticker, and then I'm going to show you a huge discount on another one. So 65,000 bucks. This is a 2023, and it does have the add-ons. $250 for the door cup guards. I'm assuming that's this little piece of silliness right there, and then $580 for the bed liner, which there's really not that much that needs to be lined in this one because it basically has a rubber mat and then the Ford factory tailgate. So that's pretty steep. It would be nice if they'd cut the price for what they actually included for that spray and bed liner compared to what you'd otherwise see. But here's a 2023 F-150, and it's $10,000 off and some random 65 bucks. So I guess with that extra 65, take yourself out to dinner after you buy this truck, or 1.9% if you do a 6-year financing. So at least deals are getting a little bit more common again. We're not having the crazy prices that we had earlier during COVID when used cars were worth as much as new cars. And although there's still a ton of room, they could fit so many more trucks on this lot, there is a little bit more than I saw last time I was here. We're going to wrap it up with this specific F-150 Lightning, and then we'll head to a Toyota dealership. But honestly, the rear end of this one in the color, which I'm not familiar with the color name on this one, but it actually looks really good in person. There's a Maroni sticker up front. Holy cow, $95,000 for this one in the color Avalanche. 95 grand. So even after $19,000 off, it's still a $75,000 truck. And this must be a 2024, 2023 even. It's not even a 2024. That is insane. Who's paying $95,000 for an F-150 Lightning? Comment below if that's you. I'm really curious what your experience has been with it. But before leaving the lot, I actually do want to show you the most expensive thing that I could personally find on the lot. There's a lot of these high output Power Strokes. You can tell it's a high output if it has the red badge. That's usually about a $12,000 jump in price to gain a little bit of power that is basically just what you'd otherwise gain from a tune. But this one is $88,000. It is a 2024 Lariat, and it does have the Tremor package, which looks really good. But the most expensive one I could find is this red Tremor right over here. It's $98,000. Meanwhile, the least expensive one I could find is actually this $68,000 non-high output Power Stroke. It is an F250, as basically all of these are, but that's still basically 70 grand for this work truck, 4-door with cloth seats. Pretty pricey, and when you're going to spend $98,000 or well over 100 after you pay, tax, title, registration, what do you get in such an expensive truck? I mean, you get some nice leather seats, you get a nice red shade of paint, some tow hooks on the front, over 1,000 pounds of torque. But who has money to pay $100,000 for a loaded out work truck? And it's a Tremor, which is basically the off-road version of the high output F250 Power Stroke. So although this is a really cool off-road truck, it's very capable, really fancy, I don't see who's going to be buying these when the average household income before taxes are taken out is only $75,000. So after tax, this is 2 years' salary for the average family in America. This is really cool. I finally made it to Toyota, and this is actually my first encounter seeing the new turbo 4th gen Tacoma. I've actually owned a 3rd gen, and I also owned a 2nd gen before I switched to Subarus as part of my daily driver fleet. But this is really cool. This is the color Underground. It's of course filthy because it's been raining a lot in this area, but $43,000 for this SR5. And then, of course, there's the nonsense, $1,000 for the ceramic coating nonsense, and $300 for some more junk. So you are going to pay a bit of a markup. Personally, I would fight that or I would shop somewhere else. But it is really cool to see one of these in person, and the 43 hopefully matches the actual Brony sticker. Yes, it does. So that's pretty cool. And there's another one over here. It looks like a TRD Sport because it has the fake hood scoop. But hey, that Underground color actually looks really good. This one is about $2,000 more, 45 plus the nonsense. And that matches the sticker. So at least there's not actual markup other than the fact that that nonsense stuff, which someone commented on one of my last videos and said that the Siljet takes about a half an hour to apply. So making $1,000 every half an hour, maybe that's how the dealerships are staying in business. But overall, it looks really cool. It really does just look like the baby Tundra, and this front half is what the new Foreigner is going to look like, the new 6th gen. So pretty cool. If you guys haven't seen one of these in person, I recommend you check it out. The grooves, the curves are actually pretty good on this, and these have been known now already after being out for only a few months that you can really put a bigger tire on these. I honestly thought in person too I would hate this fake, useless basically aerodynamics, but it actually doesn't look that bad, so that's kind of cool. This Toyota dealership really has no shortage of inventory. They're even parked down the middle of the road where you could normally just drive right through. But this is the new TRD Off-Road. MSRP $46,000, the way that this one's spec'd, with only a couple basic options on it. Nothing else in the window. It looks like it hasn't gone through detailing or anything yet. But this actually looks really good. In person, it basically looks like what I expected it to look like based off of everyone else's footage of it. And it looks good. It definitely looks very much like a Tacoma, while also looking like the baby Tundra. So that's pretty cool. But this one, at $46,000, probably isn't a whole lot cheaper than some of these Tundras. This one is a limited, so it's not a fair comparison, but $63,000 with the discount. So yeah, you can actually start to get discounts on Tundras, which that's pretty cool. Which that's not surprising because Toyota needs to sell these things, and they don't sell nearly as well as the American trucks. There are seriously a whole lot of Tundras. Most of these down here, you can see they do have the hood bulge. They are the iForce Max. There are a couple down there that aren't, but this is almost like Costco or Sam's Club putting out all of your best, most expensive products right at the front of the store to kind of price shock you. So then when you get through the store, you're not as alarmed by how expensive things are after you see the big $2,000 TVs. But these aren't cheap. These Capstone iForce Max Tundras, they do look really good. But let's see how much this one is for. All I can tell is 70 something, maybe 75. MSRP, $80,000, basically after tax, title, everything, probably about 85 grand for this Tundra. That's an expensive truck. And is a Platinum, Capstone Limited, any of these top trim level Tundras really something you're going to be using for work? Maybe it is, comment below. And then there's a whole row of Foreigners over here, which the Foreigner is about to go away with this new 6th generation, and I personally really like these. But I wonder if they're new or used. We're going to look for some. Yep, they are used, at least some of them. 2023, 2022, 2023. And you can, at least I can tell, hopefully you guys can tell, these aren't Moroni stickers. Those are just, fabricated, printed out stickers. But who's buying all these brand new vehicles and within a year or 2 years max, reselling them? Here is a really nice Terra Foreigner Pro TRD. Let's see how much this one is. Oh, and it's a 2024 and it's used. $61,000, now only $61,000. So they dropped it $700. Anyways, guys, there is still a lot of inventory at the Ford dealership I was at this Toyota dealership now. And then we're going to go over to a Nissan dealership so I can show you some good news and finish it off on an even higher note. But I will say, compared to what I saw about a month ago, the last time I came to this town to check out vehicles at similar dealerships, is I think inventory is still looking really good. And in a lot of cases between here and Ford, it's actually better than it was before. But also, there's a tiny bit more transparency. Not every single new vehicle has the nonsense add-ons like I was witnessing before. And I think that's good news. I think things are starting to shift a little bit more in favor of selling vehicles. And I get it. These dealerships, there's only so much they can do, especially if they bought vehicles, months ago and they were more expensive and now they're taking a big loss on it. But my biggest gripe, my biggest concern is not the dealerships in general, because a lot of them have good business practices. But my issues are the fact that manufacturers are overvaluing their vehicles and they're losing touch with reality and who their buyers actually are. For example, Ford, which is supposed to be like the American people company, they don't even make sedans anymore. They dropped cars because they don't make money on cars compared to the tens of thousands of dollars they can make on loaded out F-150s. So it just seems like there's a lot of potentially corporate greed, potentially losing touch with reality. And it's unfortunate. But thankfully, a lot of the Japanese automakers, especially them, some others too, but they have a lot of more unibody crossover affordable options. They're not all these crazy expensive American SUVs that lose 90% of their value after 8 years. That's insane. Most people can't afford to take that kind of a loss on a vehicle. Since the average new car loses 1% of its value every single month for the first 60 months, on average, because, again, basically you'll lose 60% after 5 years, a lot of people, we just can't afford to take that kind of a loss. And then used vehicles, if you can't pay in full and can't pay it in cash, which is what I recommend, you're going to be paying about twice as much interest on average as what you do for a new vehicle, because new vehicles usually have extra incentives to try to sell them. Sometimes you can get shorter loans, like 36 months or 48, for 3% or less. But a lot of the average lengthy 5, 6, 7 year new car loans, you're paying at least 7% interest right now. And for the used ones, you're paying well over 10% in most cases. So I really don't think car ownership has ever been less affordable for the average person than it has right now. But this is really cool. C7 Z06, 62 grand, 28,000 miles. It's an early year Z06. But that actually almost seems like a decent deal in today's market compared to a lot of the other things I've seen. The C5 Corvette, 17 grand. And no, too, so it's near the end of the production line, only 117,000 miles. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. But there are some decent deals you can find. You just have to shop around, and please check out the competition. Please go to other towns, their websites, call them. See who's the most needy, who's the most willing to make a deal for you, because chances are you might find the exact same vehicle on another lot, but it's maybe been sitting a couple months on the other lot, and they're willing to move it for 5 grand less than the current lot that it just unloaded from the truck. You never know what the dealer's situation is and how you might have a mutual benefit from buying a vehicle somewhere else than what's local to you. So overall, I would say things are starting to get better. Even this TRD Pro Tundra, which it's another 2024 that's already used, and I do think for a used one, It's overvalued at $79,000 basically. I don't think that's worth that once it's already had an owner and you're paying basically 80 grand to not even have the new ownership experience and drive it off the showroom floor basically. But at least I haven't found any vehicles at any of the dealerships yet that I've been to today that actually have legitimate markups. There's the nonsense add-ons, which I would fight that or shop elsewhere, but I haven't seen any actual markups. And if you guys remember, I found a few Tundra Pros about a month ago that were both marked up like $7,500 to $10,000. So thankfully, those are no longer the case. You just have to be careful of overvalued used ones now, I suppose. But on the forums, you do sometimes hear about those sketchy dealerships that do have a bunch of hidden lots or they move their cars elsewhere. So then it almost looks like they don't have inventory. So then supply and demand, they can hike up their prices. So I am very hesitant about this truck because a month ago, this 2023 one owner vehicle that had like 6 grand of markups from the wheel tire lift package. It was brand new a month ago. Now it has 22 miles. So you're not even going to be the original owner that this was registered to if you buy this. And the price is still very similar to what this was marked up to a month ago. So I am a little bit hesitant about what happened here. And honestly, that's got me thinking that I want to go back and check out the Terra Tundra Pro and see if that has 22 miles as well or something else that's sketchy about that one, because I didn't look at the mileage the first time around. 2 miles. So either someone doesn't know how to type in the mileage when you're going to go through the effort of typing in everything else, or this might be something interesting going on to where they can overvalue the vehicle if it's used because that's not a real Monroney sticker. Quite interesting. Honestly, I hope I'm wrong, and if anyone knows for certain, comment below and correct me, but I do find that to be a little bit suspicious. In general, I'm seeing a lot of positive changes in my area and what I've seen on videos like this from around the country too. So that's really good. Again, lots of really good dealerships out there. You just have to shop around and you have to be an informed buyer. Don't just blindly follow what someone tries to sell you because people make money off of selling you stuff. And as we wrap this video up at a Nissan dealership, I have nothing but mostly good news to share with you guys. There's a lot of transparency here. Not only do basically all the new vehicles have, of course, the Monroney sticker, but a lot of them also have discounts below MSRP, and that's for 2024s. This one's almost $3,000 off. Although if you look at the overall percentage of the vehicle's price, that might only be 6 or 7%, but still, that's something. This one, about $3,500 off. Again, about 7 or 8%. But it's really cool. It's really encouraging to see that all these 2024s, well, it's only the month of April right now, they're already having some pretty big discounts. At a minimum, still about $1,500 on this one. But this is really cool. This is the new Nissan Z, which came out last year. It's just called the Z now. It makes 400 horsepower, and there's 2 variances. When they first came out, there was about a $40,000 version without a limited slip differential and a few other goodies, or there was the performance one, like this 6-speed manual, and it's over 50 grand MSRP, and then after everything, it's $54,000. This one doesn't show that it has any discounts, and if there are any online, I'll overlay that on the screen. But this is, again, part of the problem. It's not necessarily the dealerships, the ones that conduct business ethically and, give people a deal, like with all these cars, but it's having such high MSRPs and overvaluing their cars. I get it that the Nissan Z is a cool car, it's iconic, and there's been quite a few generations over the decades, but $54,000 for just a twin-turbo 6-cylinder car, I feel like that's asking quite a bit. It's easy to find ones that cost more than that year of household income for a family. There's a lot of other vehicles, especially by the Japanese automakers, that are keeping prices within reason and a little bit more in line with what families can actually afford these days. So $34,000 after discount on the Rogue, and these are all 2024s, or the Nissan Kicks, $23,000, which is cool because that's actually about 5 grand less than the average used car. So although it is smaller, it's going to have a less powerful engine and worse interior, it's a brand new car, it's warranted, and it's one that could help you, maybe a small family or a single parent, get by if they need to. And another 24,000, 25,000. And it's actually uncommon right here to find them that don't have the sticker on the front. Most of these do. And I really appreciate this business practice that they're employing right here. And here's actually some of the brand new Nissan Frontiers. They're 2023s or 2024s, and although this generation did come out a couple years ago, actually I'm really digging this truck, and I'm really glad that Nissan kept a naturally aspirated V6. It's a 3.8 liter, makes 310 horsepower, and although, it is very competitive with pricing with the brand new generation stuff like the new Tacoma, Nissan's basically a generation behind Toyota the Chevy Colorado, all of those as far as tech and features and stuff like that. But it is cool that you have different options. You could get anything from the lowest trim level, the SV, for $38,000 right here, up to that Pro 4X over there for about $10,000 more. So the spread on these mid-size trucks is not nearly as extreme as the spread on the full-size trucks like the F-150s, where you saw, one might be double the price of another one, depending on how it's spec'd and what trim level it is. And you're not getting a roll-down window or even a sliding window or a bed liner for $38,000. The back seats technically are big enough to fit small full-size adults, but it's going to be a little bit tight. But thankfully, you can still get a mid-size truck for under $40,000. And inventory on this lot, especially for the size of the lot, it's full. There's a lot of options, and Nissan, again, is another automaker that's actually giving you guys sedans to buy, which is cool because Ford and some of those other companies that don't profit very much from their sedans, they stopped selling them. But Nissan is in the business of making small vehicles that actually work for their people. And Nissan also has a lot of vehicles that are sold, in Japan, where Nissan is. But this is one of my favorite over here, the 2.5-liter turbo all-wheel drive with H-Track, which is actually almost as good as the Subaru all-wheel drive system. And for being a 2024, they're even asking $3,300 off. So that's actually a fair deal. I honestly wish that Subaru would bring back the Baja and give this something to compete with other than the Maverick. But I'm really impressed that a 2024 Santa Cruz, which was very sought after a couple years ago when these first came out, you can now find them for over $3,000 off, brand new on the lot, just waiting for you to pick it up. And as I wrap up this video, I'll let you guys glance at a few more prices. But overall, if I haven't made it perfectly abundantly clear, I'm not trying to get after any dealerships. There are a lot of really good dealerships, but my emphasis on making this video is just like a physician. If you're not happy with your doctor, go travel, go find a better doctor somewhere else, because just because the local one to you, isn't that good doesn't mean that they're all not that good. You might be surprised. And I'm saying that as someone who actually works full-time in healthcare. But keep in mind, dealerships are the same way. So if you're not happy with the deals in your area, be an informed buyer, check out the competition, test drive stuff. But also, there's probably not very many reasons why you might not get below MSRP on a vehicle, depending on how long it's been on the lot. These dealerships are having to pay a lot of money for their floor plan in many situations, to where they are paying interest on the vehicles just sitting here, not selling. You'd think that they would be motivated to make a deal, and just as many bad dealers as there are out there, there's an equal amount of good dealerships. If you guys watch any of my review videos, I always go to really good dealerships because those are the ones that I want to support and recommend to you guys. But I've also been to multiple dealers of the same brand within the same week in different towns, and I've seen thousands of dollars of difference. So is driving a couple hundred miles worth saving a few $1,000s? I think it is. It's at least worth my time to do that, and I hope it is for you guys too, but I just want you to be informed. Anyways, guys, if you found this video helpful in any way, please consider liking this video. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I do videos like this once up to twice a month, and I hope to see you on the next one. Until then, take care.